was Oracle CEO Safra Catz ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange on Wednesday, July 12th. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Oracle TV. Thanks for joining. I'm Fritz Nelson, Vice President of Oracle Content Operations and your Oracle TV anchor. I'm live at the Oracle Financial Services Executive Forum here at the New York Stock Exchange on a beautiful day in New York City. Today, I'll be joined by business leaders from the financial services sector to talk about the top concerns in the industry right now and how to seize the biggest opportunities. We'll cover the challenges of modernizing legacy IT systems, how to fund innovation, how to mitigate financial and operational risk, ways to turn data into a competitive advantage, and why building a talent pipeline may be priority number one. I've got a fantastic lineup for you here today. We're going to be starting off with Sunny Singh, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Oracle Financial Services. Then we'll hear from business leaders from KeyBank, TD Bank, JP Morgan Chase, and Scotiabank. Obviously, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. First, I want to tee up some of what's coming by welcoming Mike Cecilia, Executive Vice President of Oracle Industries. Hey, Mike, let's start off by talking about some of the excitement here this morning. You were up on stage for the bell ringing. How'd that go?
Well, it was a really neat experience, obviously, sort of once-in-a-lifetime thing. It was really great to be joined by customers as well, though. I mean, we're celebrating 10 years on the New York Stock Exchange, and that's why we're here today. But frankly, our customers would keep us on the stock exchange. So
for sure. Let's hope so. Now, you talked about our 10 years on the New York Stock Exchange. We're also here with our customers at this Financial Services Executive Forum. Can you tell us about Oracle's long history in the financial services sector?
You know, financial services, in particular banking, have been really one of the stalwarts of Oracle. I mean, if you think about where we started in the defense industry, intelligence industry, shortly thereafter, the banking industry came along and was a large consumer of the Oracle database, and has continued to be, certainly a very large consumer of the database and our newest technologies. And now we're seeing the move to the cloud in earnest, even for mission critical systems like core banking systems.
So why do you think Oracle's approach to financial services is unique?
Yeah, well, look, security is job number one in financial services, and security's always been job number one at Oracle. So those two things go hand in hand. When you're protecting people's money and trying to keep bad actors from doing mischievous things with money, security is paramount. And I think that we enjoy a symbiotic relationship with our customers around that topic, and it's been a great unifier for us for many, many years.
Another exciting topic is payments. Oracle's long helped banks process payments, but now volumes are rising. There are new market entrants. Give us your perspective on these shifts.
Well, I think in two things. The first is, as you said, we've been a provider of technologies to help banks automate payments. Then on the consumer payment side of things, as we move to a cashless society, we are entering the consumer payments business ourselves at Oracle in partnership with our banking customers. Obviously, the bank has to be the clearinghouse, so we're not the clearinghouse, but this is something that I think will continue to grow and continue to integrate with lots of vertical industries like food and beverage, hospitality, retail, for example. I mean, most of our customers in those segments deal with very little cash on a daily basis. So digitizing those payments, but also in a secure way is really important. And we're in that business in droves now.
We're going to have a lot of customers joining us here on Oracle TV, TD Bank, KeyBank, JP Morgan Chase, Scotiabank. What are some of the top themes that you're hearing from customers that you think we might hear today?
Yeah, I think you're going to hear a lot about banking modernization and shift to cloud. Again, even if short as a year ago, there was some hesitation to move really core IT assets to the cloud. I'm talking about the stuff that moves the money around, right? Not the back office applications. And I think you're going to hear that cloud is a safer bet, is a more secure bet, and certainly a more elastic bet as well.
Okay, great. Mike, thanks for helping us kick things off here today. When we come back, we'll be talking about some of the hottest topic in financial services with Oracle's Sunny Singh. Right back after the break.
Change in banking is no longer something that is coming. It's something that's here to stay. Customers expect the ability to bank from anywhere, getting the service they need when they want it. Regulation and compliance demand new technologies to keep up with consistently shifting regulatory changes. Risk and fraud are also becoming more complex to assess and prevent. All these factors combined further complicate back-office operations, making it difficult for any bank to keep up. The only way to truly keep up is to build a bank on technology that is capabilities-rich, fully integrated, and open for innovation. One that seamlessly blends engagement, business services, analytics, and risk, that puts experience first, middle, and last. A bank that uses multiple engagement channels to meet customers wherever they are, on any device, at any time. And it's not enough to stop there. You need a single platform that has pre-built processes, digital channel experiences, and products that get your bank to market faster, with services that meet and exceed your customers' needs. On the back end, you need a bank that can also meet the operational demands of a modern world. From customer acquisition to reporting to general ledger and everything in between, you need a complete ecosystem that handles all operations for your digital bank. An ecosystem where regulation and compliance are managed effortlessly because they're part of an integrated architecture. A core architecture that can be extended using open banking APIs, powerful data and analytics, AI and machine learning, and more. So you can keep up with a changing landscape. All based completely in the cloud and fully secure from day one. This is the mix you need to truly be ready for digital. An entire solution that enables you to build a better digital bank from day one. A single solution that does it all from one partner. Oracle Financial Services, for building better banks.
Joining me right now is Sunny Singh, Executive Vice President and General Manager for Oracle Financial Services. Hey, Sunny, good to see you. We have some interesting things happening in the world today. We've had a pandemic, a war in Europe, inflation, rising interest rates. How is all this affecting banks globally?
Great. Firstly, nice to be here, Fritz. Thank you for having me on Oracle TV. In financial services, as the saying goes, you always live in interesting times. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. There's always going to be an implication on the world of financial services. Banks typically have to build the resiliency to withstand all of these global events, systemic shocks, and they do that by ensuring that they're ready for any regulations that get imposed as a result, and also by making their business operations a lot more flexible and nimble. So that's one of the areas that we always work with banks on, is to ensure that they have these capabilities to withstand these type of seismic shocks to their system.
You mentioned regulation. There was this spring, we had some crisis in the banking industry with the failure of several banks, which has revived action and thought around potential regulation for mid-sized banks, including thoughts about more stringent stress testing. How has all this activity changed how our customers are thinking about managing risk on their balance sheet, and how is technology helping them do that?
So, firstly, I think the good news here is that all these events in the spring were localized to some very specialized banks that had a much lower ratio of deposits that were covered by insurance. So the good news is this wasn't as widespread as it could get. And this localization of this impact was actually fine and passed through the system. But as you rightfully mentioned, there's going to be some regulatory response. I think the consensus from all the customers that I speak to is that they are gearing up for additional regulations that will come down in this regard. We've already seen some legislative activity happening in the Senate Banking Committee. And while it'll take a while to work its way through the system, I think broadly speaking, we should expect to see more efforts required on stress testing, on looking at the balance sheet and the strength of the balance sheet. So, the worst is past, but like all such events will have an impact on the regulatory regimes that the banks are subjected to.
Another hot topic these days is people, and finding the talent, especially in this industry, has been hard. Especially with all the tech oriented financial services companies. What are some of the hardest positions to fill right now?
So, interestingly enough, the banking industry was an early adopter of technology. They were the first out of the gate in adopting technology back in the 70s and 80s. And many of the systems that were deployed at the time are still in existence today. And as a result, one of the key paucities of labor is people who are skilled in those technologies. Most of them are retired and moved on. Banks are accelerating their transformations and are trying to make sure that they have access to resources that can bring them into the modern cloud-like environments. So cloud skills around all the transformational technologies of today, such as AI and ML, these are some of the hardest skills to come by because the rest of the market itself is trying to get its arms around these technologies. So I think we have a tough journey ahead of us as far as people issues go.
Let's talk for a second about companies overhauling their core banking systems. Do you see customers looking to do this incrementally or complete replacements?
So I have to say that there was a time in the early 2000s where people thought there would be full replacements, but after the global financial crisis, everybody's strategies became very risk averse. And so what we have seen in the last 10 years is an increasing appetite for just doing what we call progressive modernization. So taking pieces of the overall technology framework and modernizing it step by step. A lot of the earlier efforts were on the digital experience. Now they are looking at many of the digital processes that lie beneath that experience, and eventually they will get to these really old cores, but they would have de-risked them by then by hollowing them out and modernizing other piece parts of the application framework.
Why is Oracle the right choice for these kinds of initiatives?
Well, I think there are a number of things. So firstly, we are the only player in the market that thinks through not only technology infrastructure and technology platforms. We have the broadest suite of horizontal and vertical applications. So we can think about what the customer is truly trying to solve. We can think about it from an end-to-end stack perspective. And we invest very aggressively in R&D in always staying current with technology. So when you look at all of those factors, we're spending more than $7 billion a year. We're acquiring companies that are best in class. So we bring all that together and we can truly bring an end-to-end capability for our customers' modernization journeys.
You mentioned AI before. What are your takeaways for how banks can take advantage of the benefits of AI right now?
So I think AI is not new for the technology industry. Yes, the latest generative AI and large language models have suddenly caught the attention of news media. But AI is being used in a number of areas. As an example, even our current solutions in financial crime, for instance, use AI for much more systematic alert and transaction monitoring. We use it for investigations in financial crime. We use it in simple use cases like chatbots and optical recognition for streamlining the onboarding process. So there's already a lot of use cases, and these use cases are continuing to grow. This latest evolution in large language models is going to create a huge opportunity in the areas of customer service and a variety of other use cases that I think will transform the industry.
Great. Sunny, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to hear a lot about risk today and the role of data in managing that risk. Let's hear the story of Deutsche Bank and how they are managing their data.
Banking is a business in which you have to make calculated decisions about the risks that you take. Risk management means more calculations, more data. Innovation is driving more and more demand into our technology infrastructure, and we have to be able to respond to that. The challenge is we carry a lot of legacy. We made lots of big investments, but we have to be smart about how we enable that innovation while maintaining and continuing to run large mission-critical systems that support a lot of the world's payments. We have made a very significant investment in Oracle Cloud at Customer. We've migrated thousands of databases to Cloud at Customer. The 18 months of the journey that we've had so far has proven very effective. We've used Oracle Professional Services to really give us a scale to make sure that we can transition hundreds and hundreds of databases each month. The systems that really build the core of our payments engine run on Oracle today. They're running super effectively with really incredibly high levels of stability. We see the cost savings as being very significant, certainly in the tens of millions of euros per year, adding up into the hundreds of millions over the life cycle of the contract. So for us, that's all positive. And for the people involved also, we can provide a really positive journey.
We're going to start with something most banks can relate to, modernizing IT systems. And to do that, I'm joined by Ravi Chiramamilla, who is the CIO of Consumer and Digital Banking for KeyBank. Welcome, Ravi. Tell us a little bit about KeyBank and your role.
So Key is a regional bank with about $200 billion in assets. Most of our retail presence is in about 15 states, northeastern and northwestern states.
So middle of the country?
Not necessarily in the southwestern side of the equation, but we do have corporate offices though spread across 35 plus states, right? So we do private banking, we do commercial banking in majority of the U.S. states. So our focus and purpose actually is to help our clients and communities thrive, right? By being a bank that builds enduring relationship with our customers, knowing them, and delivering solutions that actually make a difference for them or add value to their daily lives actually is what we spend our time on. So certainly most of our technology solutions are actually kind of tailored towards that relationship building, creating value-added services that actually continue to grow that relationship, and then certainly continue to maintain that relationship for the long term with the bank.
Now, the past few years have not made that easy. Can you tell us some of the challenges that you are facing?
So it's definitely a difficult market. Certainly the current situation for banking. I actually never thought I would see a crisis for the second time in my career, right? But on the other hand, though, we are very resilient as a bank. We are well managed from a risk perspective. So on the tech front, having technology solutions that are easy to adapt and adapt quickly to the changing market conditions actually plays a significant role in driving the new solutions that come to play, right? So like many other institutions, we were also launching our own deposits products campaign. So certainly the investments that we made over the last 5, 6, 7 years helped significantly in launching those product offerings quickly, in some cases in less than a week, which was almost unthinkable if you go back 7 or 8 years ago.
Got it. Well, you spoke with Sunny Singh earlier about full-blown IT transformation versus a more tactical technology modernization. Can you elaborate a bit more on where you are today and what have been the major challenges?
Yeah, it's a great question. So any modernization for me actually has to start with value for the customer, value for the bank, right? So modernizing tech for the sake of tech actually is really not a great play. To me, it's not the age of the technology platform or the time it has been in use at the bank that makes it legacy. It is really the inability to deliver what we need to deliver for our customers and the bankers is what makes it legacy, right? So to truly drive that continuous focus and investment within a modernization play, it is important for us to actually take an approach that is phased, actively delivers value during the entire life cycle of that modernization play, but also reduces risk for the bank behind the scenes and reduces tech debt behind the scenes.
Now, several years back, you worked with Oracle to launch your consumer digital banking platform. Since then, how have you expanded digital services?
We actually did quite a bit. So first was certainly the launch of the new digital platform for our existing customers, but we have also acquired a bank in the meantime, right? And also brought these new solutions to bear for the new customers that we brought on board. And from there, we actually added a ton of enhancements in the payment processing side of the equation. So now we have way more sophisticated fraud detection, fraud prevention, processes in play, certainly still a value for the customer and value for the bank. And then we launched a private label brand, which was done in a record time to be able to bring up something that is completely targeting a new segment in delivering value there. And doing so with no duplication of platforms behind the scenes, right? So it's easier to do a whole slice of things across the board, but also very complex to maintain and manage, and certainly expensive in the long term if you can't do it all on the same platform that you have.
Sure. Now, I read that your orchestration and underwriting technology lets customers, or has enabled customers to now open checking, savings, and credit card accounts in less than 5 minutes. And now this technology is being expanded to a slate of loan servicing and collections. How has Oracle's technology helped enable that?
Definitely a progressive modernization that took us to that point, right? The investments that we made in digital actually enabled us to now slowly start bringing originations into place, right? And when it comes to actual implementation, right, the underwriting processes and the fact that the customer's profile that we have already captured as part of our digital platform actually enables us to get to that 5 to 7 minute time frame in terms of actually being able to book the account. So the real value here is really putting more time in our front office bankers' hands to be able to service, actually talk to the customer, get to know their needs better, and be able to quite simply go through this process in the originations flow to be able to book those accounts and then actually get them activated right away, right? So,
yeah. Let's touch on one more topic, AI. Where do you see the biggest potential for AI in the banking industry?
Everywhere, right? So, including our customers too, right? So to me, here is my take on AI. AI in some way, shape, or form, it has existed for decades, right? But we are at a turning point where the cognitive capabilities that are now possible will drive a significant change in our fraud prevention scenarios, will will help us deliver intelligent advisory capabilities to our customers. Predictive alerts, right? Don't tell me after it happened, tell me before
what's
it happens, right? Scenarios, those were actually almost unthinkable in the past. I think we will have a significant play in actually delivering those type of capabilities. But on the other hand, when it comes to our customer segments that we focus on, they will see a significant value add, especially in the small business space, in terms of automating their businesses. And I think the services that we would provide to them to enable that will actually also have a significant play.
Great. Well, I think it's really interesting. One of the things I heard earlier was talking about, doing these investments over time, 5 or 6 years ago, and then being able to roll out new products and services so quickly. Ravi, thank you so much for joining us here today. Next up, we're going to hear from Lisa Davis, Managing Director of Digital Channels at JP Morgan Chase. But first, let's hear about JP Morgan Chase's transformation of their HR processes.
300,000 people every day come to work at JP Morgan Chase. We're constantly having to make sure that operationally we can run no matter what country we're in. So we stepped back and started to say, what is the most secure, resilient place to go, and who's really innovating by creating a software solution that's going to move rapidly as we go forward. So how do we take 60 platforms, make them one, get a common data model, get rid of as much customization as we could? That's what we purchased Oracle HCM for. I'm counting on Oracle to be all over the stability of the platform, to be focused on the infrastructure, the resiliency of it, the security of it, and getting data into a common place. People data is sensitive information, and having that ability to trust Oracle with that information is key. We want to create consumer-grade experiences inside JP Morgan, and utilizing the right technologies is a part of that, so that our businesses could continue to flourish, continue to grow, and continue to help our customers and our communities around the world.
Okay, we stepped out into the hallway. The sessions are going on all day inside. I'm joined right now by Lisa Davis. She's the managing director and head of digital channels for JP Morgan Chase. And we're going to talk about the fast moving world of payments. Thanks for joining us. What are the areas that you manage as head of digital channels?
So my areas are really around all the channels by which our clients integrate with us, move money, manage their payments, manage their finances. And those channels could be either a online platform, it could be mobile, it could be APIs, it could be file transmission. So all those are channels that our clients use to get things done through the bank
And those are expanding so fast.
rapidly. Yes.
Makes your job hard.
Yes.
And the pandemic really accelerated what had already begun in terms of, the move from cash to digital payments. What are some of the more interesting recent developments?
Yeah, I think the pandemic has really accelerated this need for digital adoption and more real time. And so we see more of our clients are adopting digital solutions. They want to digitize their business. They want to move money faster. They want us to enable their ability to reconcile real time, to have data available when they need it, right? And this is all to help enhance how they do business.
Sure. And how has JP Morgan Chase navigated this?
Yeah, I mean, our role is to really try to adopt more of these digital solutions. That requires us to obviously clean up our infrastructure, do more cloud computing. A lot of us, a lot of organizations like JP Morgan work on legacy monolithic platforms that have been around for 20, 30 years. And the idea of really breaking those into more microservices, focusing on providing front end experiences for our clients that really speak to the client of tomorrow. Many folks today want very easy, simple ways of doing things. They don't want a whole bunch of clicks and steps to be able to get their day job done. And so, in order for us to provide that, we have to be more nimble in the way that we construct the user experience. And that requires us to separate the back end flows, making them much more microservice oriented and simplifying the user experience.
So they don't even have to see that all of this stuff is happening
Yeah,
under the covers.
exactly.
All of this, a lot of this is driven by the consumer movement for more immediate payments, person to person, with whatever devices they have. How is that influencing corporate banking?
Yeah, we see the need for real-time payments kind of creeping into the corporate world. I think it's still somewhat in its infancy stages, but we are seeing an uptick at JP Morgan. We have real-time payments available in many countries today, and we do see some of our e-commerce clients really requiring this sort of real-time payment opportunity. But more important, we see that clients are really moving to just a real-time nature. They want real-time reconciliation, they want real-time financing, and they want to be able to understand what's happening in their business instantly. And so real-time payments kind of comes along with that. And so we are enabling that for our clients, and it's done differently in different places around the world, but it just requires us to just be much more digital and API driven in nature.
Got it. Yeah. And now, last fall, JP Morgan Chase and Oracle announced an integration of the payments into Oracle Fusion Cloud ERP. Can you briefly explain how that works and what are some of the benefits to your customers and our customers?
Sure. When you think about corporate clients who have large operations to run, most of them leverage the Oracle platform for their enterprise resource planning. And that's also very much attached to their banking processes. So accounts payable, accounts receivable, and all the things that happen from a financial perspective are also built into these resource planning platforms. And so you can imagine a corporation that is migrating, let's say, to the Cloud Fusion version of the Oracle platform. They'd have to redo all their banking setup like from scratch.
Sure.
And so what we did was we said, hey, you know what? Let's come together and solve that problem for our clients. And what we did was we figured out how to do all that on the back end, make it seamless to clients. So all they have to do is pretty much turn on their Oracle Fusion version, and all their JP Morgan Chase accounts, they just they come in automatically, almost magically, and all the rules and things that were set up around those accounts, it comes into the platform, and we did all of that by using APIs and integration in the back end, so that clients spend less time doing setup and more time doing value-added things.
Yeah, I mean, huge time savings. Move
Absolutely.
much faster, more value add. What's next in the evolution of real-time payments?
Well, I think real-time payments will only continue. I think we'll start as the world of e-commerce continues. We'll start to see much more embedded finance and the ability for these sort of platforms to do more of their own, manage more of their own payment flows, and so that means that real-time in nature is just going to be a part of that. And so, as a bank, I mean, our responsibility is to help that journey. And we have a lot of tools and a lot of data and information and systems that we can deploy right into our clients' ecosystem to allow for that.
Great. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break to hear from Diebold Nixdorf about the work they're doing to retain their talent.
We couldn't measure anything. We had so much complexity, and it took a long time to get answers. It is something that you must do as a company if you want to be progressive, if you want to be competitive, if you want to retain your talent. Diebold Nixdorf is a modern financial technology company. We are servicing banks and retailers around the world. We want to be undisputed leader of self-service technologies in the world with our customers. I'd like to do that for employees. So what does that look like? So we decided what were the 24, 25 data elements that would help us answer our most important question. We wanted to make sure for every single employee record, we had those completed and accurate. One of our goals was to figure out how could we put answers in the hands of employees faster. And Oracle obviously is a champion when it comes to HR solutions. We started off with core HR. We partnered with Accenture in 2020, and we added workforce compensation globally, Oracle Recruiting Cloud, guided learning, HR help desk. We also had talent management suite that we added at that time. So there were about 10 different modules or capabilities that we added in a 12-month period across 62 countries. We created employee service centers, 5 of them around the world. I am very proud to say that 96% of our service requests are self-service. There's been a greater emphasis on reducing the number of steps it takes to get something done. Our headcount reports used to take 3 weeks to produce. You can now get a headcount report in about 5 minutes. What's next for us is really taking advantage of the talent profiles capability, as well as progression and succession. The Oracle partnership is one that's going to be a long-term partnership for us at Diebold Nixdorf.
Let's get back to the topic of modernizing legacy IT systems. Joining me right now is Morgan Klein McNeil, who's the VP of Finance and Risk Platform for TD Bank. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're having a great time here at the Financial Services Executive Forum. Tell us a little bit about yourself and TD Bank for those who may not be as familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. So TD Bank is a top 10 North American bank. We operate globally, over 27 million customers, predominantly a retail-focused organization and headquartered in Toronto, Canada. My role at TD Bank is Vice President of the Finance and Risk Platform. I lead the team of business and technology professionals that support all of our finance and risk business capabilities, processes, and technology assets.
Great. So you've talked about transformation in the financial services industry and how they're often long and difficult. What was the nature of your transformation? Why did you choose to undergo it? And what were some of the main challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the need for transformation, we've heard about so much today. We understand the drivers, why we need to be in the cloud. We understand why we need the right data infrastructure to support us in both the finance and risk space. And really, when we think about, long-term sustainability, operability, I love what Safra Katz said this morning about doing more and spending less. This kind of transformation is the way that we're going to get there. So that's why we decided to embark on it.
Well, speaking of doing more and spending less, you've also said that TD Bank hopes to achieve 3 key benefits with its move to the cloud. Tell our audience what those are.
Absolutely. So I love talking about my 3 benefits, and they sort of move up the value chain as I describe them. The first real benefit is around secure and stable operations. So in a banking environment, we have, incredible regulatory pressure, risk management that we need to take into account. So security is the utmost importance in what we do, but also stability. And so the Oracle Cloud Platform really enables us to do that. The second aspect is around, standardizing and getting efficiencies in the way that we run our business processes. So that's where we're exploring things like moving from a thick to a thin ledger. We have the centralization of all of our accounting rules. Ultimately, making things easier for our colleagues and cutting down time in the financial close cycle. And then the third aspect, which is the one I always get the most excited about, is how do we really drive value? That's the cool part of the transformation. And that's where we look at things, like customer profitability through OFSA and the value that can unlock, how we give our CFO organization, better tools and better data sets so that they can partner with their respective businesses and then ultimately deliver more value to our customers.
Talk about that data aspect a little bit more. You talked about it earlier today. What benefits are you seeing with that right now?
Yeah, I mean, historically, the way that financial close occurs, it's a retroactive process. So, business leaders aren't getting the same sort of real-time insights. What we want to do is really transform that to put the information in their hands sooner in a self-serve way and enable data-driven decision-making.
Great. So what were your team's reason for choosing Oracle for this transformation?
Yeah, what we really like about Oracle, this was a best in suite decision. And we know, again, from a longer term operability, sustainability perspective, we want really focused strategic partnerships rather than a large selection of different vendors, different architecture, different hosting options. Oracle brings that all together in one product sweat.
You talked about the ledger. Let's talk about that a little bit more. You partnered with PwC to migrate your largest ledger that represented more than 54% of TD Bank's total earnings onto Fusion Cloud ERP in less than 10 months. Holy cow. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, we're really excited about that one because it is such a recent example of what we were able to achieve. We did partner with PwC to move that ledger from a legacy mainframe product to Oracle Cloud ERP. So quite a big shift in terms of what colleagues are using and how processes are being run. But the reception that we've gotten so far has been incredibly positive. If you want to get a bunch of accountants excited, give them real-time journal entries instead of overnight batches, better data analytics, reporting capabilities, and then really streamlining a number of different tools that we had run on homegrown technologies that were able to be replaced just by the native Oracle ERP UI.
So now that TD Bank has closed its book on Oracle Cloud ERP, what tangible benefits has your team experienced from that?
Yeah, so we're already seeing a huge benefit in the standardization piece as we not only have migrated this first GL, but we bring other pieces over. Historically, the bank had many different ways of performing something like a journal entry, as an example. So from a colleague experience perspective, the training time and the change management to be able to support even different segments of the business was just a huge barrier, whereas now we're able to streamline those processes really efficiently. So great experience from the colleagues there. They're really enjoying the Oracle UI so far.
Okay, so spending less, doing more.
Yes.
How does this all set up TD Bank for success in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a multi-year roadmap still ahead of us. There's certainly a number of more capabilities that we want to roll out in the Cloud Fusion space. We're building out on OFSA as well. So really unlocking all of those analytics and engines that OFSA brings, ultimately driving to things like customer profitability that I've mentioned, and enabling our finance and risk organizations to really use one consolidated platform.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us, Morgan, and sharing that with us. Absolutely. Okay, we are getting towards the end here, but there are plenty more opportunities to get together with the Oracle community, including at Cloud World just around the corner in September. If you need some helpful hints on how to convince your boss to send you to Las Vegas, we've just got the thing for you. Check it out, and we'll be back for one last interview talking about financial crime.
Interested in attending Oracle Cloud World 2023, but not sure how to pitch the idea to your manager? We've got your back. Here are 5 ways to justify your trip to Cloud World. 1. You'll get to learn from the experts. With over 1,000 sessions and labs organized across topics, roles, and business objectives, you'll get actionable insights directly from experts through hands-on training, demos, and more. 2. You'll build with Oracle. With technical education on AI, machine learning, cloud infrastructure, analytics, Java, and MySQL, CloudWorld delivers brand new, never-before-seen content for developers by developers. 3. You'll gain insights from peers. Oracle customers and partners will share their own cloud stories, best practices, and lessons learned to help you in your cloud journey too. In 2022, over 850 customers shared their insights, and we're planning for even more at Cloud World 2023. 4. You'll network with the whole Oracle community. Cloud World brings customers, partners, and employees together from all over the world under one roof, giving you the opportunity to connect and share best practices easily and efficiently. And 5. You'll get access to free digital training and certification. From the time you register until 60 days after the event, you get access to Oracle University digital training covering all cloud solutions, a nearly $5,000 value that will help you level up your skill set. Your registration also includes free exam attempts to earn Oracle certification. Check out our website for more tools and details to help you secure approval to attend Cloud World 2023.
All right, I am here with Stuart Davis. He is the Executive Vice President of Internal Data Protection Management at Scotiabank. Stuart, you have what sounds like a fascinating job combating money laundering and other types of financial crime. Tell us what that job entails. What's the day-to-day life of Stuart Davis?
That's a great question. Each and every day, you know, there's a new challenge out there, whether it be in the data or the financial crime space. Recently, as you mentioned, I've transitioned to internal data protection, which is a very broad mandate. Much like fighting financial crime, with financial crime fighting, you're focused externally in the organization and saying, you know, how do we stop the bad guys from using the bank's products and services, from laundering money, moving bad money through the organization. When you're focused on internal data protection, you know, my mandate is how do we keep the bank's data safe and protected from within? And so it's just a functional shift, I think, between the two. But they're very similar in the tools and techniques that we're using to monitor data and then look for patterns of data.
Let's stick to the money laundering for a second. Can you give us a sense of how much money is being laundered every year, who the players are, and why stopping it is so important? I mean, other than the obvious reasons.
Well, it's estimated, and these are always rough numbers, but 2 to 3% of the annual GDP of the world is laundered money. And what does that mean? Well, that means that people are not paying taxes on the money. That's probably the number one objective. Number two, it's the actual proceeds of crime, such as drug trafficking or human trafficking or wildlife trafficking or, you know, other forms of crime that are out there, increasingly so. And we're seeing a lot of money moving for that, stolen money through cyber attacks, for example. But then the other side of this too is just how it's all connected, right? And so if there's a crime of, let's say, illegal mining occurring somewhere, there's often human trafficking involved in that, labor trafficking involved. So law enforcement has a huge focus on how do they fight this and what do they want to fight. Not all forms of money laundering can be stopped. I mean, it's such an international crime. And so the amount of that 2 to 3% that actually gets addressed each year is very, very small. And that's the tragedy of all of this. So the best opportunity, I think, and why banks are kept at the forefront of this is because we are a choke point for the movement of the money. And if we can see it, we can disrupt it. They may never be able to get the criminals, but at least they didn't get their money.
So what are some of the biggest challenges to stopping it?
Well, it's the increasing complexity of finding what they call a needle in a haystack or a needle in a stack of needles. But more importantly, I think it's once you identify a thread, you can follow the money and you find other associated crimes. But it's really knowing where to draw that line and how to put all that data into context that is the incredibly important part and the challenge of what we do each and every day.
Now, the increase of digital payments opens up a lot of, I heard you say, many new vectors. Tech companies, fintechs, they are all affording these opportunities in unintended ways. Are banks better positioned to mitigate risk here than some of the other industry players?
I think it really depends. Again, banks offer a unique choke point to stop a lot of forms of financial crime, and that's why they've been leveraged so heavily in the past. As open banking opens up the rails, then unless institutions are sophisticated enough and regulated, in many cases they may not even be regulated, to really stop the flow of funds, then what we've done historically, disrupting money laundering, gets diluted by the presence of many players. And so as the speed of funds increases through these new fintech and payment channels, it's a challenge not only for banks, but for these firms as well. How do we stop financial crime? You know, when you have 20 milliseconds to make a decision, we have to increasingly use technology to help us do this.
Speaking of which, how are you using Oracle's financial crime and compliance technology?
We've got a whole suite of Oracle technologies that we use, but the most significant part for us is the case management system. The thing with money laundering is that you have some time after the fact to identify and report it. With fraud, real time, you've got to stop it instantaneously, as I was just mentioning. So we use the case management system predominantly from Oracle. We also use the alerting engine, which helps us generate those suspected transactions of money laundering. And then finally, we're using a lot of the new AI components to help us look for the context, the graph analytics, and the network of money laundering across the bank.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. How are you guys using AI more specifically for all of these parts of your business?
AI gives us a unique opportunity to really take a top-down look at money laundering and identify anomalies. AI is really good at identifying anomalies, patterns that are out of the ordinary in large data sets. And so it's top-down in that way because you can look at all your payments data and say, hey, here's the few that we might want to focus on. Versus when you look at traditional money laundering detection tools like we've used the legacy Oracle platform for, it's very customer-based, it's very rule-based. And so if this transaction is above this amount with this frequency and the account balance is less than this, then we want to look at it. Well, with that approach, you get a lot of false positives. But with AI, your number of false positives decreases significantly, and it's a real value add.
I heard you talk about how you see AI as an enhancer. Can you explain a little bit more about what you meant by that?
Yeah, so when we think of AI and what it really does is it puts things in context, but it also gives us the ability to isolate events much more quickly in massive data sets. And so the enhancement opportunity is one where you can gain these insights and provide them to the real decision makers to say, is this money laundering or is this not? Without that enhanced insights that you get from either bringing in, let's say, negative news associated with a particular individual or transaction, you can bring in contacts from other transactions, other related transactions. That's the enhancement. It helps things stand out because it really enriches the underlying data that you're traditionally making a decision upon.
Great. Well, Stuart, it sounds like you have a never-ending job. Thank you for the work that you're doing on that, and thanks for joining us. We are coming to the end of our day here at the New York Stock Exchange. If you want to take a look at some of the highlights from today, check it out. That's a wrap on the Oracle Financial Services Executive Forum. Lots of big takeaways, couple that stand out for me. A lot of these companies talked about their big investments in IT, all the efforts to modernize their IT systems over the years, and it has allowed them now to move much faster, roll out new services and products for their customers, do it more simply, and in the words of Oracle CEO Safra Catz, do more with less. The other big topic was AI, and we heard it talked about more as an enhancer, in the words of Stuart Davis from Scotiabank, really augmenting what people do, not necessarily replacing it, and allowing them to move faster and to higher value tasks. Anyway, even though we're closing out today, we've got plenty more where that came from. I mentioned Cloud World 23 right around the corner, September 18th through the 21st. Registration is still open, so make sure to snag your seat before time runs out. I'd also like to thank our guests today, Ravi Charumamilla from Key Bank. We also had Lisa Davis from JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Klein McNeil from TD Bank, and finally, Stuart Davis from Scotiabank. If you want more content just like this, make sure to give us a follow, a like, a subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in from. Thank you again for joining us here in New York. We'll see you soon.